Even though there's a lot of conflicting information about rabbit care and handling, remembering this one key point will help you cut through all that noise. Stay as close to a rabbit's natural diet as possible. Ask yourself an important question. Would a rabbit encounter this food in nature? Rabbits are strict herbivores. They eat high-fiber, plant-based foods. Their biology is designed to eat rabbit-safe grasses, large amounts of hay, and also a small amount of leafy vegetables. Even though science backs this up, many of the foods commonly marketed for rabbits today don't reflect the rabbit's biological needs. So what's the problem with feeding unnatural foods to a rabbit? The truth is, many of the items sold as safe for rabbits can actually be harmful. Let's start with one of the biggest areas of confusion: store-bought rabbit treats. Many commercial treats are marketed as being safe or even healthy for rabbits. But when you look closely at the ingredients, you'll often find things like corn, seeds, nuts, added sugars, or even colorful processed bits. These are not natural foods for rabbits. We know that rabbits are fragile animals. Even their digestive system needs long-strand, fibrous, coarse hay. They are not designed to digest high-fat, dairy, meats, or sugary foods. Things like sunflower seeds, for example, are high in fat and very low in fiber, the opposite of what a rabbit's digestive system needs to function properly. The digestive system is not the only concern with feeding rabbits these types of foods. For example, sugary foods or things made with molasses or mock honey products can damage a rabbit's teeth, much like carrots. Carrots are not good for several reasons, but one of them is high sugar content. Even if these products are labeled for rabbits, that doesn't mean they're appropriate for long-term health. If you're unsure about a food or a treat, come back to that one simple question. Would my rabbit encounter this if he were in nature? If the answer is no, just avoid it. Now let's talk about specific foods that should not be fed to rabbits. Some of those foods are actually toxic or potentially dangerous. These include things like chocolate, onions, garlic, avocado. These foods can cause serious health issues and should always be kept completely out of a rabbit's diet. There are also foods that are not necessarily toxic for rabbits, but they can still cause some health problems over time. Foods like bread, crackers, popcorn, cereal, pasta, or other processed human foods. These are all high in carbohydrates. Popcorn is a higher in fiber food, but it's also high in carbohydrates. It can cause issues like gastrointestinal stasis or GI stasis, which is the silent killer of rabbits. Popcorn is also a choking hazard. It causes dental problems, and the holes can get caught in their teeth, in their throat, or other areas it passes through in the rabbit's digestive system. Since a rabbit's digestive system is very sensitive, meant for human foods can disrupt their balance very quickly. Fruits are another food that require moderation. Small amounts of certain fruits can be offered occasionally, but they're naturally high in sugar. Too many fruits can also cause diarrhea, which can be a death sentence for rabbits if the problem is not immediately addressed. Another category to be cautious with is certain vegetables. Some vegetables can cause extra gas or digestive discomfort for rabbits, including cruciferous vegetables like cabbage. But too much of any vegetable or leafy green or even fresh, untreated grass can lead to diarrhea. Rabbits need balance. They are not able to pass gas easily. They're also not able to vomit. In addition to other health concerns these poor choices can cause, staying with simple greens and the right vegetables matters for other reasons. With vegetables, it's important to introduce new foods slowly in very small amounts over the course of a few days up to a week or two. Monitor how your rabbit responds every time a new food is eaten. Once a new food is established in the diet, keep it consistent and balanced. Don't add several new foods at one time. Viral videos of rabbits being fed piles of squash, cabbage, and other foods not suitable for a rabbit's digestive system or not suitable for their overall health can cause bloating, diarrhea, and other problems. Oftentimes, these videos are circulated from people who raise rabbits for purposes other than compassionate pet ownership, so they believe that warrants improper feeding. When that type of information circulates, new rabbit owners might assume that all vegetables are good for rabbits and you can just feed them whatever vegetable scraps you have available. And that's just not the case. At the foundation of a healthy rabbit's diet is hay. Typically, fibrous hay will make up most of a healthy rabbit's daily diet. Straw is not hay. Straw is the leftover stalks from grain crops. It's suitable for farm bedding and mulch for gardens, but it's not nutritious and it does not contain what rabbits need to sustain health. Hay, on the other hand, is dried grass. It's used to feed many types of animals. Hay has the right balance of protein, carbohydrates, and essential minerals for rabbits. Fresh hay supports digestion, dental health, and overall well-being. Rabbits do not live on hay alone. Even out in nature, they would pick up many different varieties of greens to eat. They would eat bark. They would chew on all kinds of things. But they're all natural. A small percentage of your rabbit's diet, if he doesn't have specific dietary needs, should be fresh leafy greens. These are also necessary for nutrition and overall health. Debates still rage on in rabbit communities about rabbit pellets. Historically, rabbit pellets were low quality. They were originally manufactured to put weight on a rabbit quickly to fatten them up for slaughter. Today, we have better options. We know more about rabbits. We know more about their biology and their little personalities and what it looks like to have a happy, healthy rabbit. High-quality pellets made from timothy and other types of hay are suitable for overall health of rabbits. They should be used sparingly, in small quantities, of course. If you use pellets, choose simple, high-fiber pellets that do not contain added ingredients like seeds or dried fruit or those little colored bits. When rabbits are fed in a way that reflects their natural biology, you'll often see a difference not only in their physical health, but in their behavior. Properly fed rabbits are more comfortable. Their coats are healthier. Their droppings are normal. They're more active and more happy. The way we feed rabbits is part of how we care for them as a whole. When we move away from processed foods and convenience-based feeding and return to what their bodies are actually designed for, we're supporting them in a much more natural, respectful way. Where you live can also play a big role in how you feed your rabbits throughout the year. Here in the Pacific Northwest, the fall and winter seasons are long, they're rainy, and they're somewhat gloomy. When the rains come, they last for months, and during that time, outdoor foraging really isn't an option. During those rainy, gloomy months of late fall, winter, and early spring, I rely more on grocery store for fresh greens and spring mixes. As we move into late spring and summer, that all starts to shift. I gradually transition back to growing and foraging more natural foods to feed the rabbits. The foods I specifically grow for rabbits include plenty of leafy lettuces, red lettuces, spring mixes. I plant garnet stem dandelions. Also, I keep my backyard untreated. No fertilizer, no spray, no weed killer. I let the natural dandelions grow freely and always have a good supply to add to the rabbits' morning and evening salads. During playtime, the rabbits eat dandelions from their protected backyard outdoor play area. I also plant many carrots. I use the actual carrots for myself, but those plants provide an ongoing supply of carrot tops for the bunnies well into the late fall season. Over the years, I've also added things to my space with the rabbits in mind, like parsley and basil. Those plants add more antioxidants and nutrition to the rabbit's diet. I feed herbs in very small amounts. They must be added to the diet slowly and intentionally, just like other new foods. Some rabbits can tolerate certain herbs, but others can't, so watch carefully. You add one food at a time, wait, watch. Make sure everything is staying normal and the rabbit's handling it well and likes it. And then add the next food and keep doing that. But don't add a bunch of foods at one time, as you will not know what your rabbit can tolerate and what he cannot. About 8 years ago, I also planted an apple tree, not just for the fruit for me, but for the leaves and branches for the bunnies. Apple tree leaves, sticks, and bark can all be valuable enrichment to the rabbit and a part of the natural diet when used appropriately. In my area of the Pacific Northwest, apple trees are plentiful. Neighbors who don't spray their plants either are happy to share their leaves and their branches with me. Wooded spaces like forests are everywhere in this region, and trees that produce safe for rabbit leaves and branches are everywhere. Depending on where you live, there's a bounty of natural foods you can forage for your rabbits. This not only saves you money and trips to the grocery store, but it also provides more balanced nutrition for your rabbit. Remember, introduce new foods slowly, one at a time. Transition diets over a few days to a week. Let the rabbit's gut flora adjust to these changes so that 1, you can monitor whether or not your rabbit tolerates certain new foods, and 2, you don't make your rabbit sick. With a bit of credible research and depending on how far away nature is from your front doorstep, foraging for your rabbit and growing your own foods is beneficial. Remember, no sprays, no chemicals, no treatments. Natural for rabbit foods needs to be just that, natural. Not only does this way of eating reduce your expenses, but it allows your rabbit to eat in a way that is much closer to what their bodies are designed for. This way of feeding your rabbit is aligned with what rabbits would eat if they were in nature. Always approach new foods carefully. Immediately stop feeding if any new food causes the rabbit's droppings to be loose or runny. Slow, intentional transitions are key. If changes happen too quickly, the result is health problems. If you notice your rabbit has diarrhea or stops eating entirely, call your veterinarian and get your rabbit in to be seen immediately. Make sure he's not overproducing secretropes, that smelly cluster of poops that a rabbit should re-ingest immediately. You should not see those lying around. If you are seeing them or smelling them, back off on the greens immediately. Observe carefully and adjust as needed. Given the sensitive nature of these animals' digestive system, you can see why we don't just want to dump a big pile of arbitrary vegetables in front of the rabbit. You can also understand why it's important to be cautious about what's marketed as rabbit safe. Not all products are created with the rabbit's natural needs in mind. Though it's still lacking, we do have good information backed by science about the biology and needs of these animals. Rather than becoming overwhelmed by conflicting information riddled with unnecessary complexity, just remember this. When in doubt, come back to what's simple, natural, and appropriate. What would the rabbit eat to stay healthy if he were out in nature?